Uvalde Radio. We live, work, and play here.
UvaldeRadio.net. Good morning. Happy Friday. We are getting geared up for a really fantastic weekend. So much going on. Tonight, there's a big dance at the Herbie Ham Activity Center. Tomorrow, Uvalde Radio's got our third annual Valentine's Dad and Daughter Dinner and Dance. Big game is Friday. Join us at Mr. Gaddy's Pizza. And then all weekend, we're going to be in Can for the Frio Country Resort's third annual Chili Cook-Off. So much going on this weekend, but it's also been a very busy week, especially at Uvalde CISD, where they've been celebrating National School Counseling Week. So with me on the phone to kind of get us caught up about it and tell us what it's all about, please welcome Director of Recovery Service for Uvalde CISD, Nichole Henderson. Welcome.
Good morning, Robert. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate an opportunity to be here to just spend a few minutes bragging about our phenomenal UCISD counseling team.
I can only imagine how much work you guys have been putting in. I mean, it's I'm sure school counselors, that's a big undertaking, in any district, in any job. But in light of what we've gone through here in Uvalde recently, I know that you guys' workload has just multiplied exponentially. So we'll get into the nuts and bolts of everything that's going on at UCISD with this National School Counseling Week. But right now, Nikki, let's talk about you. I didn't say Doctor or Mrs., because I don't really know what the proper title is. But let's go ahead and talk about you personally. What's your educational background? And before we get into some personal stuff.
Yeah, I am a licensed professional counselor. I've been with the school district since 2015, and I came on board to be a mental health provider. So we are really blessed in the district to have two types of counselors, our school counselors and our licensed mental health clinicians. And I came on board back then as one of the licensed clinicians to support students with direct therapy services, similar to what students and families could receive at an agency out in the community. So I have a master's degree. I'm currently working on a doctorate degree in school psychology, but I have, since May 24th, I've stepped into a different role, and so now I am working with our entire team of counselors, which is just a phenomenal group of ladies, and we have just focused all of our efforts on supporting our students and our staff.
Well, we're extremely grateful that you've, kind of moved into that role, because obviously it's much needed a resource here in the community now. Let's go and get back to your personal stuff, because you've been here in Uvalde since 2015, you said. Where were you prior to that? Where'd you come from? And how much do you love being in Uvalde?
Yeah, so I actually have been in Uvalde since 1994.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, I came here right out of college. I started working as a probation officer, and I was in that role for many years, and then I completed my graduate training and became a licensed professional counselor, started working in that capacity, and I spent another 11 years at a community-based agency. I've worked for a local mental health authority, which is where I came directly from when I started with the school district in 2015.
Wow, you've got a lot of experience dealing with people, apparently, so that's fantastic. Yeah. So as far as being in Uvalde and around Uvalde, what do you like to do when you're not, when you don't have the work hat on? Are you a river rat? Do you like the restaurants? I mean, tell me, are you a downtown shopper? If I'm from out of town and you're bragging about your community, tell me, what are you bragging about?
I am bragging about our beautiful rivers. I am bragging about the beautiful, the relationships that people have here, the small town feel, the ways that people support one another. But personally, I love to CrossFit. I've been a member of a local CrossFit gym for many years now. That's kind of my therapy. You might catch me almost any afternoon, either walking up and down the road or at the gym. I am part of an amazing book club that's been a great source of support for me as well. But I always frequent the shops, of course. We have some amazing shopping. We have some amazing restaurants. So, yeah, I've enjoyed every part of being a Uvaldean.
Fantastic. Again, we're talking to Nichole Henderson at Uvalde CISD. She's Director of Recovery Services. Got a little background on Nichole there, and let's go ahead and get into National School Counseling Week. First of all, if you wouldn't mind, give us a definition. What's National School Counseling Week? Why was it designated, and what are you guys celebrating or bringing attention to?
Yeah, so National School Counseling Week is always celebrated in the first full week of February, and it really provides an opportunity to just highlight the tremendous efforts and impact that our school counselors have on helping students achieve their goals, to achieve success both in school, in their career, and also in their personal lives.
Have there been any activities, or what have you guys been doing to celebrate National School Counseling Week this last week?
Yeah, so this has really been very much about supporting and praising the efforts of our counselors. We just want to celebrate them, and so each campus has done special things for their counselors throughout the week, just little tokens of appreciation to say we recognize you, we love you, and just to thank them for everything they do each and every day.
Well, why don't we give a shout out to your staff? Let's talk about the counselors that you have on the roster. Maybe as much of a little background on each one of them, if we have time for that.
Yeah. So let me just start with our school counselor in Batesville, Mrs. Sonia Gonzalez. She's been with the district for a number of years now, and she has worked also at our high school in the past and moved over to Batesville this year and is doing just a tremendous job. Our Crossroads Academy counselor is Mrs. Miranda Dvorak, also just a dynamite human being, very dedicated to our students. And we're so grateful to have her. Dalton Elementary, our two school counselors there are Deanne Dillahunty and Laura Bullard. And so Deanne comes to us with many years of experience. She's actually been with the district probably longer than or maybe just as long as Miss Donna Connell, who has been with our district for her entire career. Laura Bullard, who's also at Dalton with Mrs. Dillahunty, is a relatively new counselor, but has just done a phenomenal job, and is very fortunate to have the mentorship of Deanne Dillahunty. At UDLA, we have Christina Lopez and Carla Garza. And at Flores, we've got Jessica Tiarina. Mrs. Garza actually splits her time between UDLA and Flores, and so she supports both of those campuses. We have at our junior high, Nicole Becker and Jessica Casares. Both wonderful ladies, a lot of experience, a lot of energy, a lot of dedication to our students. At that level, that's a unique age level, our junior high kids. And so it takes a special person to work with that population. At our high school, we have 4 school counselors, including Martha Torres Garcia, Kelly Hilton, Clarissa Escamilla, and Marilyn Brown. And so all of these ladies have just supported our students in phenomenal ways. That is our school counseling group. We also are fortunate to have some licensed clinicians, as I mentioned, as well, and those are known as our family student support counselors. And we have on our team Mrs. Barbara Chase, who's a licensed professional counselor. We have Leslie Munoz, also a licensed professional counselor, who serves UDLA. Mrs. Chase serves the junior high and Flores. Again, Mrs. Munoz serves UDLA. We have Bianca Perez, who is a master-level social worker. She supports Batesville and Crossroads Academy. Our newest addition to the team is Anadelia Quintanilla, and she is a licensed professional counselor supporting both Dalton and Uvalde Elementary. And then last but not least, Mrs. Katie Hughes, who is a licensed clinical social worker at the high school.
Well, you got a good group of people there. Wow, fantastic. And I'm sure they all come from many different backgrounds, and I'm sure some of them are lifelong Uvaldians as well, too. So what a fantastic group doing what is some much-needed work here in Uvalde. Now, again, it goes to say, since the tragedy, the counseling aspect of life has really, and not just for our students. I mean, it's kind of a city area-wide thing. I'm sure that your job description since May 24th, a couple of years ago, has changed dramatically. If you don't mind, let's talk about, I guess, how you guys adapted or how you changed the way you do things to adjust to the tragedy that happened?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things to recognize is that those of us who were in the district on May 24th were also impacted.
Right.
As counselors, we loved and worked with these students, with the families, and we felt that loss as well. And so in our work supporting students and staff, we have also found that at times we've needed some support.
Yeah.
And we've been very grateful to the relationships we've built with our community-based counseling agencies who have been able to step in and support us in big ways. We've, of course, seen an increase in need for counseling services. And although we have, as I just mentioned, a wonderful and large group of counselors, both school counselors and clinicians, the need is really great. And we want to make sure that we're able to meet our students' needs at all times. And so we've developed some partnerships with our community-based agencies who are able to come on to our campuses after going through the appropriate credentialing process and provide service to students on campuses. And that has just really increased the ability for us to provide needed services to students. And it has strengthened the relationships that we have with our community partners.
One of my concerns has been, you guys are doing your best to kind of heal our children, and who's going to help heal you guys. So it's great to know that you've got these partners in place. Now, as a concerned parent in the district and in the community, I do have to ask you this, just for transparency's sake, how much vetting is going on there? Because now in the wake of the tragedy, a lot of people have reached into Uvalde to help. And a lot of times, and I hate to say this, I sound like a negative Nancy, but a lot of times those groups, no matter how helpful they seem to be, some of them, an agenda comes along with them. Is there a vetting process? Do you have to have meetings, decide what are the best fit for this particular community before you accept help from outsiders?
Yeah, absolutely. So the partnerships that we've developed are with our local agencies and providers. Good. These are agencies that for the most part have been in Uvalde for years. They were here before the tragedy, and they'll be here for many years after.
Fantastic.
Yes. And so we require any individual that works for a community agency to come into our central office, be appropriately background checked, and they have to wear a district issued badge at all times when they're on district property. So we don't open our campuses to just anybody who says they're here to provide support to students. They have to go through the proper channels before we allow that.
Now, can you highlight or list any of these partnerships, these groups that you work with specifically?
Yeah, absolutely. We have MOUs in place with the Children's Bereavement Center of South Texas. They've just been phenomenal in supporting not only our students, but our staff as well. They've done a number of educator support groups, done different activities for staff, for our children, and that's just been a wonderful partnership. We also work with Family Services Association, again, an agency that has been in the community for many years, and we had a partnership with them even prior to the tragedy, and we're just really grateful for all that they've done for us over the years. Of course, our local mental health authority, Hill Country MHDD, they've been around years. We've worked with them in partnership for a number of years, and that has just continued. Southwest Family Keys is a program that we have brought on board as well to help support students. And for our students and families in Batesville, of course, that is Zavala County. So we have a partnership with their local mental health authority, Camino Real. And finally, we've developed a partnership with TCHAT, which is an organization through the UT Health Science Center that provides psychiatric assessment and counseling services via telehealth. And so if any student feels more comfortable receiving their counseling support on a screen, we allow that as well. And that has been just a wonderful organization to work with.
Walk me through maybe the process, or maybe even a couple of examples of what that looks like, how you guys handle it, from that first conversation and where it might go from there, if you can. I don't know if that's too complicated of a process, but just an example, if you don't mind.
So in a school setting, we work with what's called a multi-tiered system of support. And so we have these tiers based on student need. So at the tier 1 level, these are services that benefit all students, that all students receive. That would include social emotional learning in the classroom. Those would include guidance lessons being provided by our school counselors. And for students who may need additional support, we tier them up to a tier 2 for maybe more individualized support, small group support. So we may add them to a social skills group or a divorce support, for example. And there are even a smaller percentage of students that just need that individualized one-on-one support. And those are the students that get referred to our community-based counselors and to our family support counselors. So we are able to have eyes on children at these different tiered levels, and based on their needs, based on our interactions with students, we then determine what is the appropriate next steps for that child.
Well, it's fantastic that you guys are doing such a great job, and working to keep the mental health aspect of our students in check, because again, we've gone through so much here. Again, we're talking to Nichole Henderson. She's the director of recovery services at Uvalde CISD. It is National School Counseling Week. Now let's go and talk about the flip side of what counselors do, because when I was a kid, the counselors were the ones that were helping you pick your classes so you could get the right courses set and your path to college, et cetera, help you find, get some scholarships, and whatnot. And I know mental health is a huge focus in Uvalde CISD now for obvious reasons. But obviously, you guys still have that other job of making sure that these kids are getting their education and getting that correct path. Tell us, give us some highlights on that aspect of the job.
Yeah, absolutely. So the state of Texas publishes some guidance regarding what school counselors need to do. And there are different component areas, just what you described. And so our school counselors are busy supporting students through guidance curriculum, which really focuses on teaching students how to develop transferable skills for daily living. So, for example, interpersonal effectiveness, intrapersonal effectiveness, post-secondary planning, career planning, personal health and safety. Also, they engage in responsive services, which is part of what we just described in terms of mental health support. Mm-hmm. But they help our students address any concerns that are going to impact their educational, career, and personal development. That could be dealing with issues of attendance or bullying, grief and loss, different things that may come up under responsive services. There's a lot of individual planning that's going on, managing individual career goals, social development, and helping students develop their strengths and finding the right career path for them. And then just system support also. School counselors spend a lot of time putting programs together that meet the specific needs of their students and their campuses, because ultimately we do want our students to go on after high school, whether it be the academic path, the vocational path. It's all valuable, and we want to help our students find the right fit.
Nichole, tell me this, as we wrap this up, is there any other information that you need to get out to the community? I'm interested, actually, one final question, actually. What's, I guess, the most popular misconception about what you guys do and, maybe what your daily is? So something that you're like, oh, these people just don't get it. I'm not saying that you're resentful or rolling your eyes at everybody, but I think every job has that kind of one big misconception. If you could address that, what would it be?
Yeah, well, if I could, just a couple of things. The first one being there seems to be some recent misconception that Uvalde is lacking mental health support. And I think nothing could be farther from the truth. As I just described, we have a lot of mental health support within the school system and within the community. And I just want to give a shout out, not just to our school counselors, but to all of the counselors in Uvalde who have worked so hard to support students and families. But then the next thing is kind of going back to what you mentioned a few minutes ago, Robert, about when you were in school, counselors helped you select your schedule and made sure that you were in the right classes. And although they still do those things, they are also mental health providers. They are also trained to provide support services to students. So the role of a school counselor is multi-layered, and it requires a lot of training, a lot of skill, and it's just phenomenal what they do each and every day, and we're so grateful for them. But yeah, I would like to just really highlight that they aren't only planning schedules and class placements. They are listening to students, they are spending time with students, and they're supporting them in many, many ways. Fantastic.
Well, I hope that you guys had a great National School Counseling Week. I hope that somebody brought you an apple or a Starbucks. Any special treatment you want to brag about? Anything happened special for you personally this week?
Well, just lots of thank yous, lots of we appreciate you. But I've spent a lot of time just giving shout outs to the counseling team, because they're, boots on the ground each and every day in front of students, and they just do a phenomenal job, and I'm really proud of them.
Well, I know that you're probably not a big Starbucks fan because you're a CrossFit lady. You probably don't need all that extra sugar and caffeine, but I'm going to make sure you get a Starbucks card at the very least. All right. Because I think you guys are fantastic. So again, hope you guys had a great week, and thank you so much for bringing attention to these counselors and what they do for the children in our district, and just really helping the healing that obviously needs to happen. So, and you guys have your work cut out for you, because this is something that's going to be an ongoing thing, for generations, and there's stigma involved, and there's, like you said, misconceptions, and you guys are just so brave, for weathering the storm and doing it, showing up to work. I really do appreciate that on a personal level too. Okay.
Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the kind words and the support.
Finally, tell me where we can find online resources and all that good stuff if somebody wants to learn more.
Yeah, if you want to learn a little bit more about our team, you can access the Uvalde CISD school website. We always keep a list of available counseling resources on our Family Student Support Counselor page, but on the main page, just click on the Counseling Resources tab. That takes you right to the list of available supports within the community, gives you a brief introduction to our Family Student Support Counselors. And then on the schools tab, you can go to each specific campus and learn a little bit more about their counseling team.
Very good. Once again, go to ucisd.net. Find the parent section, counseling resources, and you get all that information on social and emotional support, family resources, and a whole bunch more. So once again, thank you, Nichole Henderson, Director of Recovery Services at Uvalde CISD. You have been so great. Thank you so much for this valuable information, okay?
Thank you, Robert.
All right. You have a great weekend. This is UvaldeRadio.net.